welcome back to another Then versus Now third year anniversary edition. This is for the third year of Dokkan, and this is part two to the previous video, which was also focusing on part three or third year units. Rather, that video was focusing on mainly the 120% leads that were released during then. And the 120% leads were, I think a very interesting bunch of units because their leader skills made it so that we could kind of predict the next leader skills, or the ones that were left through process of elimination, as to what the next leader skill was going to be. And it was fun, like kind of thinking who was going to be the extreme physical leader, who's going to be the super tech leader, things like that. And that was in the previous video, so if you're interested in that, go check it out. But in this video, we will be looking at the units in the third year anniversary of the game that were released back then, and what their modern day counterparts are now in modern Dokkan post 10th year anniversary. So the first unit we're going to take a look at is, yes, the Int Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Now, when this guy released, like, he was like on no banners. He was like kind of unfeatured, and he was like released very like in very close proximity to the second anniversary of the game. So he's kind of a second anniversary unit. But when he released, he was most certainly the best unit in the game. I mean, he could put up damage numbers like it was unmatched what he could do. And I mean, just the videos back then of like popular YouTubers like Rhyme Style D Free, Nanogenics, them like pulling him and seeing how excited they got for him in the hunt for this character, and just then Int Trollhan as well, which was another Int Super Saiyan Gohan, which had the same exact costume as this one, but it was clearly not the same power level as this guy. Um, but yeah, this unit, he put up like crazy damage numbers. He wasn't really focused as much on defense because defense really didn't matter as much back then. If you had overwhelming offense, you could really get by. But and then like his EZA, a lot of people were hyped for his EZA, but I don't think I don't think it really lived up to too many expectations that people had, because I think people wanted him to become the best unit in the game again with his EZA, which I don't think really happened. And then we got his Super EZA for the 10th anniversary, which I think he's pretty good. He's not the best, but he's still pretty good, and he can put up like great damage numbers, and he's double orb changing, and he can be really useful actually. And that transitions to the unit on the right, the physical Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, which is, it's been such a long time since we've gotten a Super Saiyan 2 Gohan in the game, but finally we got one for the 10th anniversary, and aesthetically, he's one of the coolest units ever. Um, and mechanically, this unit is actually really good. He doesn't, he's not like blowing up like off the paper. Like on paper, he doesn't seem as crazy as something like maybe Tech Super Vegito or the AGL Gogeta, maybe the Super Saiyan 4 Goku. He's not going to be as flashy as them, but he can certainly get his job done. He can tank slot one, and he can tank certainly after he super attacks. He can put up amazing damage numbers. He's got guaranteed crits after a certain point. He's actually a pretty useful unit in the game, and he's got the full power 220% leader skill. He's a very, very useful unit. And I think he represents the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan pretty well, but I'm not sure if we're ever going to see a new character who has that sort of like, power level that is just that destroys everything in the game. I think the closest thing we got to that is another Gohan actually last year, which is STR Beast Gohan, released during the 9th anniversary of the game. And I think that could also be a good spiritual successor, but Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is the character. So we will be going with the physical Super Saiyan 2 Gohan for this entry. And the next character is, yes, AGL Majin Vegeta. Now you're going to see a pattern here is that they release like very few LRs in the beginning years of the game. The first LR was like the Tech Super Saiyan Goku, or the Tech Hercule or something like that. But the first Summonable LRs, it was an interesting thing because they were kind of releasing LRs based on like typings and stuff. And it was just like really interesting to think like which is going to be the next LR, because we knew, the LR is this new rarity, and they're going to be using, important moments from the series. And, one of the most memorable, most AMV'd moments of the series is, of course, Majin Vegeta's arc. And Majin Vegeta got his LR, and I mean, just pulling this guy and his SSR art showing up on your screen was just always just such. It was so crazy, honestly, at the time. And he had like definitely one of the coolest LR arts I think in the game. It's a lot of people's favorite. I know for Nanogenics, I think it was definitely one of his favorites at a time. This LR AGL Vegeta's art, um, and that I think his modern day counterpart has to be the Tech Super Saiyan 2, which transforms into the Extreme Tech Majin Vegeta. Um, because the AJL LR Majin Vegeta's LR EZA, when he got it initially, it had a lot of it had a lot of reliances on other characters. You wouldn't really be necessarily running on this guy's team. Or any teams that he might be on. He has like conditions with Bulma characters and Goku characters, Kid Trunks characters. It's a very specific lineup of characters that you need to unlock his full abilities. So it doesn't make him. I think it didn't make him the best. So we're kind of waiting on his Super EZA, but um, I think the modern day counterpart to him has to be the Tech Super Saiyan 2, which transforms into the Tech Majin Vegeta. Because he I mean, when he transforms, he's just such a beast. He's got guard, damage reduction. He can be super effective against all types, and he can just be such a useful unit. When he got his EZA, I think it was quite surprising at the time that they were EZAing this guy and the Super Saiyan 2 Goku uh, that transforms into the Super Saiyan 3, both the int and physical, and then the STR Kid Buu. They had like 4 EZAs for that Tech Gotenk celebration this last Christmas. It was pretty crazy. But this guy, he puts up great damage numbers and can tank very well. The only flaw in his kit is probably it's just kind of difficult to get to the Tech Majin Vegeta transformation. It can be a little bit tricky at times, but in terms of modern day counterparts to Majin Vegeta, this has to be our best representation so far. So we are, and I think Majin Vegeta can definitely get some better representation. I mean, the Int Super Saiyan 2 Majin Vegeta, which released for Saiyan Day back in 2022, he's up for his EZA, so we could definitely see that released later this year, and I think that'll be pretty sick. And the next unit is yes, the LR Trunks and Goten. Um, Now this unit back then, they weren't, as iconic as, some of the other LRs released during the time, but they were um, they were a substantial buff to the Hybrid Saiyans team. The Hybrid Saiyan category was one of the first categories to be released into the game, and it had multiple LRs on it, which we'll get to. But they definitely did contribute to the strength of that team back then. But even with their EZA, they're not really that great. They have like this high, like you can randomly get a certain amount of key with their passive. They're not really that good right now, and I think it'll be up to their Super EZA to make them really good. But I think the modern day counterpart to them, like the closest thing we have, is probably the Super Saiyan 3 Tech Carnival Gotenks, who has a much more different story than the previous LR on the left. This Tech Gotenks is such a beast. He is so undeniable. He is so undisputed, and he's just like he can tank slot one. He can be such a useful tech option for these teams. He can really allow you to get the ball rolling with some of the 10th anniversary teams because he's on the category leader skills, and he has like the rainbow orb changing the damage reduction, the guaranteed crits, additional supers. When he released, he was a beast in the Goku and Frieza fight because he was obliterating the damage cap or whatever the damage floor that you couldn't go below, and he could really just obliterate that event. And he's just such a useful, solid option. And he was a great Carnival LR, and he still is. So I think the best modern day representation of Goten and Trunks probably has to just be their fusion, which they do actually do in their super attack animation for their ultra super attack. They do actually go into Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. And I think, yes, their best modern day representation has to be the Tech Carnival Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. And the next character is, of course, SGR Broly, the World Tournament King. When this guy when this guy released, he was the first first LR release on Global Dokkan, and he was definitely just it was so hype when he released. I mean, because it's another one of these things where like these units, like we didn't have like this power level of units, these LRs, and it was just so cool to see like which characters are they going to prioritize to give these LRs to. And you get like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, Majin Vegeta, and then who else? Broly, of course Broly is deserving of one of the first LRs in the game. And for World Tournament, this guy will always be king, honestly. There are better units now, but for in like history, I think he's going to be cemented as like one of the Dokkan Hall of Fame units because he was so good for so long as the best World Tournament unit in the game. Because World Tournament is already a pretty, I'm pretty sure JP players like it, but for global players and myself personally, I don't like it. But at the time, this guy made it a lot easier. He could do guaranteed additional supers, which were all AOE attacks that could attack everyone on the enemy, and it usually did wipe out the entire board. And when this guy got his easy A during, I think, the sixth or seventh anniversary, I think it was the sixth anniversary, he got his easy A, and that was very surprising. Because it's not like he was the first LR ever released, but he got his LR easy A around the sixth anniversary time slot, and that was like really surprising. I don't think it like shot him up to King Kong, number one level again, but certainly it did revive him in the world tournament setting for when we could use him then. But I think the modern day representation for Broly has to just be the just Rolodex of Brolys and just like the long list of Brolys we got in 2024. 2024, as I've said, is the year of Broly. And it started out with, the ninth anniversary where we got the AGL full power Broly from the from the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, who is just a great unit for, you know, like he can just fire off a bunch of guaranteed additional supers, and he has the domain which can transform him into the AGL full power Broly, which for 2024 was just an absolute assassin. He could really finish the fight. And if we're talking about finishers, we have to also talk about the Tech Easy A legendary Super Saiyan Broly. This guy, oh man, he was crazy on release. Like when he initially released too, like his animations were just so great. But when he got his Easy A in 2024 for the worldwide download celebration, he, I think he's shocked everyone because he was a unit that was in everyone's boxes, and now he's putting up 120 million attack stats in total in one turn, and he's just like it's just such a great like it's just such a great feeling to have like this unit in our box who can just obliterate enemies, and he can really pull up crazy damage stats like so early in the fight on just turn 4. And of course, we also have to talk about the probably MVP of 2024, Tech Carnival Broly. Tech Carnival Broly has just such a great design, which where you can like transform into his legendary Super Saiyan form at any time. He stacks attack, he has damage reduction, guard, support, crit support, and then you can transform into him and he becomes an invincible tank and can put up crazy numbers with an awesome active skill. And he's just such a like he was just so useful to so many teams because he can be put on so many teams and he doesn't have any restrictions really. Um, and I think if you want to look at more of a tech option, someone who just has so many like his value in is in how much he can just put up on the field and how much he can just really mess around with the boss. It's got to be the Int LR Dokkan Fest LR Broly, who he has a weird design, but certainly he just puts up such great numbers, and you got to respect the man's resume because he is very defensively viable. He's got 60% damage reduction, and then if you can go into his domain, he's got the guard, and the domain is contingent on the uncontrollable power team, which has gotten so many buffs. Even throughout the 10th anniversary of Dokkan, it got so many buffs with things like Int Super Easy A Buhan, Int Super Easy A Janemba, and I'm sure we'll get more uncontrollable power buffs later this year. But his team is good. He's got support, defensive support. He's got a revive. The domain. He puts up so many things and so many like screens to help protect your team to where he can actually be really useful, even despite his seemingly odd design at first. So. This isn't even counting all the Brolys. This STR LR Broly that initially released, we were thinking maybe he could super easy A since he's already gotten his easy A. We thought maybe he could get his super easy A for the carnival or for the worldwide celebration last year, but that didn't end up happening. But we did get a bunch of other Brolys, and I think it's good because we get to save this guy's super easy A for later. But speaking of Super Easy A, we got the SGR, one of the first Dokkan Fest ever, the SGR Legendary Super Saiyan Broly. He got his Super Easy A, and he turned into a great, like little support unit, as well as the Physical Prime Battle LR Bio Broly, which is just one of the greatest free-to-play units ever. I mean, he's so defensively viable, and I wish they made more free-to-play units like that, but I think it gives Bio Goat Broly a lot of aura that, he's the one that got that treatment. Other Broly characters include, like so many characters that aren't even on the screen right now, like the physical LR Broly, Chila, and Lemo. They're really good with their like full dodge, and they're kind of a funny meme unit a little bit. And of course, there's also the EZA Tech free to play Bio Broly, which he can start off he can start off the fight with like 90% damage reduction, and I found him pretty useful in like things like maybe Battlefield. Um, but yeah, Broly has so much representation right now, and I think he's really well set. And I think his Super EZA, whenever it comes out, is going to be. I think they'll knock it out of the park, and I do hope that. Uh, I really do hope that he just becomes a really good unit, even then. But the next character is going to be, yes, the Goku Black and Zamasu. Now, Goku Black and Zamasu don't really have the best representation right now. For Goku Black characters, it's been kind of rough, and like their last major celebration was like the worldwide download celebration of the 2023, and a lot of the units from that time, specifically the AGL, we Saiyans have no limits. That character is memed upon to like eternity. It's gonna be so funny when they get their EZA. But um, this tech, Goku Black and Zamasu, when they came out, they were so good. I mean, they had healing, they had defensive viability at the time, and they could put up really good attack stats. They were really good. And then eventually, newer Protara characters released, which made them even better, which we will get to. But yeah, overall, this unit was pretty good, and when they got their EZA, they were also even better. I mean, like when they got their EZA, they got the guard, and it was really surprising the stuff they gave this unit, and it was always really fun, and I have fond memories of this unit because the Patara team for me was definitely like maybe my first like really viable competitive team, and this unit was like always just so useful with the healing and just how much they could contribute to the team. But the modern day representation for this unit, is kind of lacking. I think we got the physical Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black from last year, right before the ninth anniversary, um, and he like well he can like he's kind of fun in that he can like just fire off like a bunch of supers, a bunch of guaranteed supers, and he's got a domain, but the domain actually kind of hurts him because another character who has a domain is the Tech Merge Zamasu, who's right behind him. He also has a domain. And who else has a domain? It's also the AGL Full Power Broly. So you have like three characters who are fighting over their domains, and you can't really, go into a domain to cancel one out. So you have to prioritize one character, which leads to the other characters who have the domain getting, less of their abilities and can make the team not function as well. So the Super Bosses team has like a lot of contradicting seemingly parts. Um, but yeah, the physical Rose, he was pretty good, but he wasn't anything crazy. The tech merge Zamasu, he was actually really good. He's definitely one of the I think he's not as memed as the AGL, Blue Boys, which I guess is some achievement. But he has like pretty good damage reduction numbers, but it doesn't really last that much. His domain does let him go into pretty much invincible mode, which is kind of fun to use. But certainly this unit is not he's not optimal to run right now, I don't think. And I think physical, like the Rose and the Zamasu cards, they're gonna need like better representation because with the introduction of the tag mechanic, I think we can definitely get like a Rose that tags into Zamasu, and I think that could definitely be some future representation that they get. But right now, they're uh, you know their representation in Dokkan right now is not very good. So we'll have to wait on new units to release. But the next character is going to be, yes, the physical Trunks. So the physical LR Super Saiyan Trunks is another one of the hybrid Saiyan LRs, and you can see just from this list how many LR buffs the hybrid Saiyans category team got in that third year of Dokkan. Um, and when he released he certainly was interesting because he had like 50% crit in his passive, which was really crazy at the time. And I think his modern day representation is probably just the tech Super Saiyan Trunks. um a little bit ago, I probably would have said the physical LR Super Saiyan Rage Trunks from the Future Saga, which we got in the 2023 Worldwide Celebration. But that I think this unit, the Tech Super Saiyan Trunks, who transforms into the Sword of Hope Trunks, I think he's going to be a little bit better right now because of the presence of fights like the Festival of Battles, because he can stack up pretty much infinitely, for 99 turns or whatever, and I think it makes him very useful in that kind of event. And since that's, right now the most difficult fight probably in the game, I would say that the best representation of Trunks that we have, future Trunks that we have, is probably just the Tech Sword of Hope Super Saiyan Rage Trunks. Um, and yeah, he can be pretty useful in that event because, even when he released back in Golden Week of, man, like 2020, 2019, something like that, he was pretty good for events like um the legendary Goku event, which a lot of people like, and just as it was back then, we now have a new long event with many stages, and once again, his Easy A is having some success in that event. So I think probably the best representation of Trunks right now we have is probably uh, this Trunks because Trunks hasn't gotten much representation or many new units recently. I think we're definitely going to get a new Trunks sometime this year, but for now, this is our best Trunks. And the next unit is going to be, of course, the third year anniversary LRs. Uh, and this goes for both Gogeta and Vegito. These because both of them they released for the third anniversary of the game, and they were like when they released, they were definitely the best units in the game. I think Vegito probably had a little bit of an advantage because he had the counter mechanic, and that just allowed him to put up a lot more damage than the super effective against all types that Gogeta had. But the both of the units were really good, and both of them were the first Dokkan Fest LR leaders in the game, which it is kind of a landmark. And they also did introduce the transformation mechanic, which they did kind of they spam a lot, which can be a little bit annoying because we won't really get as many just start of turn Super Gogetas or Super Vegetas because they always want to like transform into them or whatever. But this unit was definitely really good, and they ran the Patara team, and this was definitely one of my favorite teams, and this unit running the Fusion team was also one of my favorite teams as well. It was just because a lot of the best characters in the game at the time were part of Patara or Fusion, and characters that were to be released, later on around these guys' like release date. So it really allowed their teams to function really well. And, they were just, when they transformed, they were just the absolute undisputed best units in the game, of course. I mean, Vegeto's counters were just so fun, as all Vegito counter characters had. And then, you know, Super Gogeta, of course, with like he could put up crazy damage stats with the super effective against all types, and both of them, healed on transformation. It was just a really fun. They were just really fun units, and their transformation their transformation conditions are pretty annoying nowadays, but at the time, it was pretty cool. Turn six under 50% HP. And the best modern day, representation of these units is definitely the 10th anniversary LRs. That being the Tech Super Vegito and the or the AGL Super Gogeta, who, you know, I mean, they're so incredibly good in like pretty much every event. They can be a little bit weak at maybe the beginning of fights, but their team setup allows them uh, to really just hide those weaknesses. They can stack attack and defense in their Goku and Vegeta forms, which makes them really, really good in things like the Festival of Battle. Gogeta has incredible support that can really just juice teams to make like really crazy attack stat numbers. And then Tech Vegito can really just become the superstar of the team with his active skill, drawing all attacks towards him and then countering with just his feet for free. And it's just it's really crazy what this guy can do. Um, and I think it's very fitting that the 10th anniversary best units in the game are Super Gogeta and Super Vegito. Um, and I think the third anniversary units are very well represented. The third anniversary units did also get their easy A's during the seventh year anniversary of the game, and that made them they were pretty good. They weren't the best, but they were still pretty good. And I think right now we're waiting on their super easy A. I'm not sure when they're going to super easy A because we already have really good, just perfect like Vegito and Gogeta right now. So I don't think they need to super easy, but when they do down the line, I think that's going to definitely be one of the more hype things. But I don't expect that to be in the game anytime soon. But for now, I think the representation for Super Vegito and Super Gogeta is definitely in a good place because even Gogeta he has things like the Super Easy A, Super STR. Or the Super Easy A STR Super Gogeta, who he's still pretty good, with his Super Easy A, which he got during the 10th anniversary, and then of course for Vegito he got his AGL Super Vegito, he got his Super EZA, and that could make him pretty useful as well with the counters and stuff, and with guarding and damage reduction. It's just Super Vegito, like he has good representation. We also got the Tech Super Saiyan, the Tech Super Gogeta for his EZA during the worldwide celebration of last year. It was a surprise EZA, and he was definitely one of the best units in the game. So yeah, Gogeta and Vegito definitely have great representation right now, and I think that does it for the third year of the game. For the major LRs released, there are a couple other units, but for the major LR releases, this is what it's looking like right now. And I think for the most part, they're all looking pretty good. There are a couple things like Trunks, and Zamasu. I think they probably do need better representation, which we probably will get. But for the most part, all these units are their legacy is intact in my opinion. But yeah, that will do it for this video. If you did enjoy, please do give it a like and please subscribe.